Hey guys, Michael here with another video, and today I wanted to talk about aircraft ownership, or the things that you need to think about when you're looking to own your own aircraft. Now, some of you guys know that I have a part ownership in an aircraft dealership. I founded aeroavion.com, right? So Aeroavion, I've been working on that. I built it on my own in 2019. I built the app in the App Store as well. And since then, I've been working with this experiment of a aircraft dealership. Then a little bit later on, I partnered with Mike Ojo, as you guys know, Mojo Grip on here on YouTube, and we are now shared partners of AeroAvion. So we are both working on the day-to-day operations of helping people buy and share aircraft more efficiently. And it all started that way, right? Really, my vision was to kind of innovate the ways that we buy planes. So a lot of this video is based off of what I've been hearing from real aircraft owners or people looking to buy their own aircraft. And it even goes even further than that, right? I'm a full-time CFI double I here in Central Jersey. And I commonly fly with a lot of students who are middle-aged and are looking to purchase their own aircraft for the first time, right? These are student pilots, instrument pilots, commercial pilots. Pilots of all ranges are looking to get into aircraft ownership. And the industry is huge, right? Because a lot of things going on in the world, a lot of people want to fly on their own. A lot of people want the capability to take themselves from point A to point B more efficiently on their own. And today what I'm going to do is compile everything that I've learned from AeroAvion, from flying with students, from interviewing and talking with students who are looking, a list of things that I believe people need to think about before they purchase their own aircraft. So number one, the key thing is making sure that you understand your mission. A lot of people put this in the back burner because the thing is, not all planes are made the same. You want to make sure that you understand what is your mission, what is your purpose of buying an aircraft. Now, a lot of people will be buying for business purposes, right? Am I going to be traveling from point A to point B for business meetings, right? What does that mean? That means you're the only sole participant inside that aircraft. Also, you want something that's a little bit more efficient, right, from getting from point A to point B. Then you could have the other side of the spectrum where there are people who are looking to fly their families, right? Let's say you have a family of 4, maybe you have a family of 5, and you're looking to take them from point A to point B. So now you have to think about weight load and seating capacity. That extends to destinations. Not all aircraft can land in the same environment. So you want to make sure that, yes, maybe you want a 6-seater aircraft, but maybe you want something that can get into shorter runways, 2,000 feet, 1,800 feet. So you have to think about that on the other end of the spectrum. And those capabilities, that selection of aircraft may be limited. And to expand upon mission even more, you have to think about range, right? So a lot of people, they'll get a big 6-seater aircraft like a Saratoga, but not think about the fuel. They won't even think about the true airspeed that's needed to get it from point A to point B. So you could get a really nice aircraft, but it could be much slower than driving to the destinations that you want to get to, right? So you really have to think about that when you're looking at a plane. A lot of people, they'll get a plane, they'll start flying it to the destinations they want to get to, but then quickly realize with pre-flight, with planning, with boarding, deboarding the plane, and transporting to and from the airport, it actually takes longer to fly that plane than driving the car. And that's the worst situation for a pilot to be in, because again, it's those unexpected things people don't think about until after they purchase the plane. So your mission is something that you really need to think about when you're looking to purchase an aircraft. The next thing a lot of people don't think about is the hourly cost of your aircraft. Now, that's huge. When you are looking to rent an aircraft, you go to a flight school, and that flight school is usually going to rent you out an aircraft for about $200 an hour here in the Central Jersey region, right? That's usually for a nice model Cessna 172. A lot of people are just looking at that price up front, but what that price includes is the aircraft maintenance, the life limited parts on that aircraft, like the tires, the propeller, the oil changes, etc. Then there's the fuel, right? Because a lot of rentals that are offered are wet rentals where they include the fuel cost associated. So a lot of people need to think about the hourly cost of the aircraft. Now, how does that relate to ownership? A lot of people think that as soon as they own their own aircraft, they don't have to deal with hourly cost. Well, that's a huge misconception, because what a lot of aircraft owners do, they calculate what the hourly cost of it will be. Again, with those life limited parts like the tires, the propeller, the oil, etc. Now, a lot of times aircraft owners will realize that it costs more hourly to own their own aircraft and then rent it out with a flight school. So a lot of times owning your own aircraft comes down to the convenience of being able to hop in a plane and go. Whereas on a flight school, the planes may be booked out for weeks at a time. And these are things you have to think about when you are looking to own, right? It's the cost of having your time, being able to choose the aircraft whenever you want. The next item a lot of people don't think about is insurance. So aircraft are not like cars. You have to have insurance when you have a car, but with a plane, it is not required legally. But the reality is, a lot of you guys know an aircraft is an investment, right? It's an investment vehicle. It is your investment that you're putting a lot of money into, and you want to protect your investment. That's just the reality, right? It would be very foolish for me to take a plane that's not insured and then something were to happen. It's incredibly expensive to replace or repair any part of an aircraft. But a lot of people don't factor in, with a new private pilot certificate, the costs of insuring your aircraft are going to be exponential, right? It's really expensive to own an aircraft when you have low amount of hours, when you are a newly experienced pilot. And a lot of people don't factor that in when it comes to the total cost of insurance. Now, the good thing is, the more licenses, the more ratings that you get, the cheaper it is to insure that aircraft. So that's why I tell people that a private pilot is a license to learn. So when you get your private pilot's license, you best be looking to get your instrument rating, to get your commercial pilot's license, because those things can help you exponentially in reducing the overall cost of ownership. And again, all of that ties in to the hourly costs. The next thing people don't think about when they're owning their own aircraft is the storage. Now, this usually is at the back of people's mind when they're looking to purchase a plane, is where you're going to store it. Now, you are probably a student pilot or someone who was a student pilot who looked around at their local airport and saw there are a lot of aircraft just parked outside, right? There might be aircraft parked in the grass. And to yourself, you're thinking, okay, that's cool. And the cheapest prices that I've personally seen to park your plane outside are like $50 a month. You probably hear that value and like, okay, cool. $50 a month, that's nothing. That's actually a lot better than what I expected. But a lot of that comes with caveats. If you park your plane outside, the paint job is susceptible to start chipping. Think about wear and tear if an aircraft is outside. And then again, if you live in a location where there's a lot of hurricane activity, now your aircraft can be damaged by natural occurrences. So these are things you really have to think about when it comes to parking your aircraft. The next step is, okay, I know that parking my aircraft outside is more risky. How about parking it inside? And then you deal with the costs associated of putting it into a hangar. Personal hangars. A lot of people are paying upwards of $2,000 a month just to store their aircraft inside a personal hangar. And again, that goes all into the hourly cost of operating your aircraft. A lot of that has to be taken into account when you're looking to store your aircraft. And then on top of that, you have shared hangars, which may be more expensive, because a lot of times if you go around and you ask a lot of airports what their costs are, you'll quickly realize that a lot of airports have waiting lists, right? A lot of people are looking to store their aircraft inside. So not only do you have to deal with the cost, but there are usually waiting lists when it comes to parking your aircraft inside a stored facility. Another thing that factors in, so going back to the first point of making sure that you're accounting for your hourly costs, is how often you plan to fly your aircraft per year. So I just spoke to you about some general expenses that people don't think about. But when you're looking at owning your aircraft, going back to the mission, you want to see how often are you going to be flying your aircraft. And a big thing that you need to think about is when you look at a flight school, the reason why that plane is $200 per hour is partly due to the fact that these planes are flying 5 times a day, all throughout the week, right? When a plane is flying that often, the hourly cost goes down because that's more money that goes into the reserve fund for unexpected maintenance items, for things that pop up, oil, fuel costs, right? The more that a plane flies, the cheaper it is to own, right? And that's the benefit. So now if you're a private owner and you own an aircraft and you're only flying 100 hours a year or less, now the cost is exponential. That's less money that you have aside to use towards expenses. And that's the reality of aircraft ownership. A lot of aircraft owners Effectively, what they do, they figure out what the hourly cost of their aircraft is, and again, they put that into a what we call a reserve fund. And the more hours you fly that aircraft, the more money you have in that reserve fund in order to put back into unexpected maintenance items. Biggest thing that I see a lot of pilots do is to overestimate the hours per year they fly. They'll say, oh, I'm going to plan to fly this plane 200, 300 hours a year, not realizing how often that actually is. All right, so that's a lot of hours you're flying per year that you have to think about. That's nearly once or twice per week just trying to make that range. So you have to really be honest with yourself to decide, how often am I going to be flying this aircraft? How often am I going to be up in the sky or needing to travel from point A to point B? How many vacations am I going to take in this aircraft to determine whether or not it's worth it? Last but not least, I really want you guys to consider value. So the way that I see planes are as investments. Planes, they increase in value generally, right? So most good model aircraft, if you take care of them, they will go up in value and they will give you dividends in the future. The reality is, a lot of pilots, what they'll buy a great looking aircraft that has low time on it. They'll fly that, they'll do their instrument training on it, they'll do their commercial training, and they'll sell it for a profit. And sometimes that profit is enough to cover a lot of the expenses of their training. So that's something that you can really look at to subsidize some training costs. But the reality is, you want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence to find a good plane that will also hold its value or increase in value. So when it comes time to sell that aircraft, you are up in the green or in the positive when you're looking to maybe upgrade your needs or upgrade your mission. At the end of the day, what I suggest is that you, as a prospective aircraft owner, talk to other aircraft owners, right? I'm just listing out a general consensus of what people need to look for when they're looking to own their own aircraft. But the reality is, there's a lot more nuances to it. So don't take this video as an end all be all. See if you can hang around your local airport. See if you can make friends with other aircraft owners. Take them out to lunch, offer to pay for some flight time, and just have a discussion on some of the other hidden costs that come to owning your own aircraft. But I want to make sure that I don't scare you guys off. It can be an incredibly enriching, rewarding experience. I know that I don't own my own aircraft, but I'm in some shared ownership opportunities. And still, even in a shared ownership space, it is a great thing to be able to book the plane, fly the plane wherever I want to, whenever I want to, and it is incredible. The freedom is unlike anything. So I really encourage you guys to really dig deep and look at aircraft ownership, because it is something that is super rewarding. Now, I also want to share that there are ways to make money with your aircraft, and I have a video that I will list here down in the description or somewhere along this video that you guys can check out to see ways that you can make money. But again, I hope this video helped. I hope this has inspired, and I hope this has given you guys some ideas, some things to think about when you're looking to own your own aircraft. If you've liked this video, feel free to like it. If you want to see more of my content, feel free to subscribe. And again, my name is Michael. I wish you guys blue skies, tailwinds, and until next time, hope to see you guys soon.